the background, rather. I don't own rights to the music in the background. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And welcome to Coffee and Convos with Carol. Yes, yes. Just letting you in on a little bit of my little, I got to do a little meditation. Yesterday was that migraine won. She definitely won yesterday. That migraine was, yeah, I was like, no. So yes, good morning, good morning, good morning, nephew. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Convos with Carol, where I engage with you for 30 minutes on topics. And this time we're doing weekly series. So yeah, so I don't own rights to the music in the background. I want to make sure I get that heard. I think I got into a little trouble. Yeah. How are you? Yep. Good morning. Good morning. It's not quite 8:30, but it's okay. Alexa, turn music off. So I know last week we were kind of in we went through, make sure I got those all the way closed, that extra light. We went through a series about inhaling the future and exhaling the past. And so that series ended last week, Friday, and we went over a few things and we talked about just how to just let some things go, not holding on to things, carrying them through. We hit on a few things in that series. And so this past weekend, which we had which I had a very busy weekend, but I did take out time to look up some things and to just kind of research some stuff and to bring you this week. We go through a lot of stuff. So, people go through a lot of things. People are going through things with their jobs. They are going through things at home with family. People are going through things just in life general, even with themselves, right? You feel yourself changing or moving in a new direction, or you feel like you got some things that you want to do that you may not feel everybody else might be on board for you to do, and when you've been in those positions, which I have, everybody's not going to agree with what you're doing. Everybody might not be a big supporter of what you're doing. I've been there too, where you feel like people should be supporting you in the things that you want to do, but you don't have that support, so when you feel like that, a lot of times we are optimistic, right? We say, well, it's going to work out. It'll happen and this and that. But sometimes we don't have any hope, So this week we're going to talk about hope versus optimism. Okay. We're going to talk about that because they are different. And it is possible for you to be optimistic, but not hopeful. And it is possible for you to be hopeful, but not optimistic. It could be school, work, home, relationships. It can be any of those things. And so that's what I want to touch on. I know I didn't join you guys yesterday, but I'm here. I'm here today. I know I'm going to be having some schedule changes because your girl is going to be taking some classes. Mm-hmm. Education is good. Growth is good. So when that starts, it's going to probably be some shifting and some changing of some things, but I'll keep you all abreast on that. All right. So hope versus optimism. Hope versus optimism. I said autism. Hope versus optimism. So what do people think hope is? A lot of people think hope is just a belief that things will grow or get better. They are they have this thing that it'll all just work out. So hope is a focus on the future and a belief that one can act to make things better. So okay, that's what hope is. We can act to make it better. Hope is about setting goals and taking action. All right, so that's what hope is. Meaning, what, I hope I get this job. So what do I have to do in order to get this job? I have to fill out the application. I have to go to an interview. I can, even touch up on the application. Like if they accept it, you be like, I dropped it off. Good morning. I dropped the application off last week. I was just wondering, were you guys interested? So hope is about taking action. When optimism comes into play, optimism is a general expectation that things will turn out well in the future. It's a positive thought pattern, okay? It's a positive thought pattern that involves emphasizing the good parts of whatever is going on. So, when you think about hope versus optimism, hope is more of when you act to get it better. And optimism is just trying to take those positive thoughts and say, hey, they're going to work out. Good morning, sis. So when we're talking about this series this week, which is hope versus optimism, because some people don't have no hope. Some people have lost some hope, and in this day and age, when you're dealing with a lot, again, people are dealing with a lot of stuff. Hope does come into play because you got to have some hope to keep going, right? So when we're talking about hope versus optimism, you have to remember that hope is about taking action. All right. And optimism is a general expectation. Like, hey, the things gonna turn out well. It's a general expectation about things will turn out well. So what are some things that we can do to stay in that mindset of hope? You say, what can I do? What can I do? Good morning, sis. Good morning, sis. Good morning, sis. So I got sis and sis over here. What are you hopeful for? What are you hopeful for? You might want to jot those things down. Remember last week when we were talking about inhaling the future and exhaling the past, we talked about journaling. And sometimes journaling can help. When you write things down, reread them and look at them, it can help. So what can you do? You can write down what you're hopeful for. What are some things that you're hopeful for? Like I say, everybody's in a situation. There's always a situation. It's always a situation. And I always say this, things can always be worse, but it's always a situation. Your situation can be worse than somebody else's situation. So there's always a situation. So when we talk about hope versus optimism, you don't have to be a general expectation that they're going to get better. Write it down. What are you hopeful for? What are you hoping will happen? What does that positive outlook look like? So write it down. Also, what you can do, you can talk about what can you control. We talked about that last week. We only can control what we can control. So what you can control that. What you can't, guess what? You just can't. All right. All right. So when we start thinking about hope and you start thinking, well, I don't have no hope in this, I just whatever, forget it. Don't let that attack you. Don't let that get you down. All right. Control what you can control. All right. And then how can you combat negative thoughts? We talked about that last week. We talked about that in that series. How can you combat negative thoughts? There's a pattern in here, and I hope everybody has seen it. Last week we talked about this pattern, and this week we're talking about it. There's a pattern here. The pattern is it's about your thought processes. Your thought processes. And here's the thing: if you're feeding your mind a bunch of negative thoughts, a bunch of hopeless thoughts, a bunch of things that do not matter, do you know what's going to happen? That is exactly what's going to come forth because that's what you're telling yourself. That's what you're believing. That's what you're believing. So you have to come out of that. You have to come out of that. What are some things that you can do? Here's the things you can do. You can practice faith, spirituality. All right. You can pray. You can learn some prayers, or you can invite God to change your perspective. All right. Those are some things that you can do. How do you combat those negative thoughts? Well, that's a way to do them. All right. You can also take time for fun. Make time for fun. People don't do anything fun anymore. People don't do things fun anymore. If you find someone in this state, you have to let them know that fun still exists. Fun still exists in the midst of what you're going through. Everything fun still exists. And you have to find time for fun. Okay. A lot of times people be like, I ain't trying to have no fun. Carol, I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't with it. But guess what? Again, this is hope versus optimism. All right. When you feeling down in the dumps and you feeling like you ain't got nothing else to give to this situation or this circumstance, you have to find time for fun. All right. You have to find a way to combat those negative thoughts. All right. If you become hopeless and remain hopeless, then what happens is you take on that state. Nothing you never do is good enough. Nothing you say is good enough. All of that combats your brain and your thought processes. Okay, when you talk about being optimistic, it's a general expectation that things will work out. And like I said before, you can be optimistic and not hopeful, but you can also be hopeful and not optimistic. But which one is better? I say hope is better. I say hope because you can't lose hope. All right. You have to have hope. Okay. And hope is a focus on the future. It's a focus on the future in the belief that one can act, meaning put some action in it to make things better. It's about setting goals and taking action. That's what hope is. Hope is about doing some work. And I think some people don't want to do no work toward it. But you guess what? If you don't work toward your goal, who's going to work toward it for you? We can be optimistic that it'll happen. That's great. Like, yeah, I'll get there. But if we're not putting any work toward it, who's going to work toward it for us? Especially if it's your goal, especially if it's for you. Who's going to work toward it for you? Nobody's going to work toward it for you but you. I try to get on here every day. And I heard someone tell me, you know what they told me? If you don't get more than 10 views, then you should just stop doing what you're doing. That's what I was told. Then I was told everybody has a podcast. I was told that. But you know what? And that's fine. I'm glad everybody got one. And I'm glad that people are utilizing their platforms and things like that. But I'm going to do what I feel that I want to do. And I feel like this is where I'm being led. I feel like I have a purpose in what I'm doing. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it whether I have one viewer. I'm going to do it whether I have 0 viewers. I'm just going to do it. And I have hope that things are going to get better down the line. But you see, I'm taking action as well. I'm not just sitting here saying it's going to happen. If I don't turn these cameras on and these videos on and get in front of here and talk, then that's first off and foremost, it's got to happen that way. And then there's some rules and regulations you got to follow as well. But all in all, I'm still taking those actions and I've set these goals to get where I think I should be. Yes, sis. Yeah, you do. And I'm here. So Sister May said, yeah, you do. And I'm here and I enjoy the talk. Yes. And so when you have that, you have to be hopeful. But if I would have had a process, it says, how can you combat these negative thoughts? Because when people say that, you do kind of be like, dang, they kind of right. Like, wow. But how do you combat it? I said, practice faith and spirituality. Say some prayers. Invite God to come in and change your perspective on things. Because here's the thing. Like I said before, if you get into that space and let those words that people try to speak to you, they try to speak that into you. If you let them come in and speak that into you, you'll start carrying that around. And then you'll find yourself not setting goals or not trying to take action to obtain the goal that you're trying to reach. That's what will happen. And instead of that happening, guess what we're going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just, we're going to go do what I said do. We're going to pray and we're going to invite God in to change those perspectives. We're going to change those perspectives. Okay. That's what we're going to do. It says take action. You can do small things, keep moving forward and repeat things that feel good. A lot of times, sometimes getting in the mirror and saying to yourself, I know today was rough, but tomorrow is coming. And we're going to just work it out the best way we can. Sometimes you go into them jobs and they're just bad for you. You know what I'm saying? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Brother Mike. Those jobs can be really, really bad for you. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome on Facebook. Good morning. I believe that's Sister Jocelyn. Good morning. So you have these jobs sometimes that can really suck a lot of that out. Okay. But again, the series that we are talking about, good morning, good morning. The series that we are talking about this morning is hope versus optimism. All right. And what we're talking about for the ones that are just joining in, we are talking about hope versus optimism when you lose hope. Okay. And here's the thing, hope, we have learned, hope is a focus on the future and the belief that one can act to make things better. All right. Hope is about setting goals and taking action. Good morning. Good morning. All right. That's what hope is. Optimism, well, it's a general expectation that things will just turn out well in the future. Okay. It's a positive thought pattern that involves emphasizing the good parts of that circumstance or that situation. Okay. That's what optimism is. And so you might say to yourself, well, Carol, I can be optimistic, but no hope. Yep. And you can be hopeful with no optimism. All right. You can do both. You can do both. All right. Good morning, Sister Shalonda. Good morning, Sister Jocelyn. And so, what you can have things that you can be hopeful for. I talked about journaling. We talked about that last week, inhaling the future and exhaling the past last week's series. Okay. You can journal, write down things that you are hopeful for, set goals and take actions against the goals that you set. Control what you can control. You can't control everything. And that be the problem for some folks. Okay. We cannot control everything. So what we have to learn as people is control what we can control. Okay. What else can we do? We can make time for fun. Make time for fun. Fun is fun. All right. And stop acting like we can't have fun because we can. All right. And then what else we want to do? We have to learn how to combat those negative thoughts. Trust me, when I'm sitting here talking to you guys about things that I've researched and read, I too have been in those situations and circumstances. I promise you I have. Probably not everything, but for the most part, when it comes to this thing with this mind, because people will try to, you got all kind of people. I just told y'all a story. Somebody told me that. It's a true story. They told me that. Girl, if you ain't got more than them things, you need to just stop. But I ain't gonna stop. All right. So here's the thing about combating those negative thoughts. What we can do is we can practice faith, okay, and spirituality. We can pray, all right. We can learn some prayers, some scriptures, all right. Or we can just invite God in to change our perspective. How about that? How about that? All right. Invite him in. Change our perspective, okay? We can take action. We can do small things, all right? Keep moving forward and repeat things that make us feel good, all right? Repeat things that make us feel good, all right? And then this is what I need you to do too. When we're talking about hope versus optimism, we can do this. Remind ourselves that it isn't forever, all right? It isn't forever. That feeling, that circumstance, that situation, it isn't forever. Okay. And we're talking about hope versus optimism. All right. And then this is the thing, when we lose hope, it can be devastating, right? When you lose hope in something, it can be devastating. It can lead to depression and discouragement. When you lose hope, you can be discouraged about something, okay? And when does this happen? When do you think you can lose hope and not be focused? Well, you can lose hope when you disconnect from a dream. Say you had a dream set for yourself. Okay? So when you experience the death of a dream or a connection, the loss of a relationship or a job, you can experience some hopelessness moments, right? So when you think about things like that, we have to know what are steps that we can do to get back to that. Not to be just optimistic and say, well, it'll get better later, because it will, but we have to have hope that it will too. So in having hope that it'll get better later, and having hope, not just optimistic. Remember, we talked about the difference. Optimistic is generally just saying it'll get better, but hope is work. Hope is work. And I think that's why some folks choose to be optimistic and not hopeful, because hopeful requires some work. And some folks just don't want to work for stuff. Ain't that the truth? Rule. But sometimes we have to. Sometimes we have to do the work. We have to do the work, okay? We have to, all right? So this week, put it that way. I know today Tuesday, but this week we are talking about hope versus optimism. So I want you guys to take with you today. I want you to take it with you for the rest of the week. Think about it. Think about it. Hope versus optimism. I want you to know that hope is action. Optimism is just a thought. It's a thought. But hope is action. You have to take action. Like I said, write down those goals and take action with them. But make sure they're goals that are attainable. Don't put down something that you know you can't reach. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, because then you're going to keep putting yourself in a cycle of discouragement. You're going to keep putting yourself in a that just is just not good. Let me tell you something. Today's lesson in our devotion was be freed from the drama of emotions. To be freed from the drama of emotions. Okay, that's what the lesson is about in my devotional today. To be freed from the drama of emotion. Because baby, look here. When emotions can make you full of drama, can't it? It can make you full of drama, always in some type of state. That's what emotions are. You are always in some type of state. You either sad. Good morning, Brother Terrence. You either sad, you're mad, you're glad, you're all over the place. Okay. But today's lesson in this devotion, we become freed from the drama of emotions, because emotions will take you there. When you mad, you all over the place. You want people to understand how you feel, right? When you're glad, when you're this, when you're that. So we have to be freed from the drama of emotions. And that kind of goes with today with that hope versus optimism. Because when you are in a situation, every situation comes with a little bit of drama. And we can't be emotional in that situation. Sometimes we have to be more logical, okay? Straight to the point, right? Straight to the point. We have to be straight to the point. All right. So I want you guys to take this with you today. We're going to touch on more of it tomorrow. But I want you to take this with you as well today. Today's affirmation is this. And we're going to touch more on it probably tomorrow, but this affirmation hits home. Let the tough times make you better, not bitter. Let the tough times, those situations that can cause depression, the discouragement, and everything, let the tough times make you better, not bitter. We shouldn't be bitter, people. We shouldn't be bitter. We should be coming better. We should be letting those tough times allow us to be better, not bitter. All right. I want you guys to remember to live, love, never ever stop laughing, and always find room to forgive. Because who don't deserve no forgiveness? All right. All right. Find room for. And I want you guys to remember one love. All right. One love. That's all we need. Just one love. Everybody learn how to love each other. Okay. You love yourself. Love a little bit more. Love a little bit more. You never know what people are going through. Always be kind. Always be respectful, because you never know what people are going through. I love you too. Thank you. You love that. I love you guys too. And remember, let the tough times make you better, not bitter. Go be better. I will see you guys tomorrow, where we'll pick up on hope versus optimism. All right. Thank you for joining Coffee and Conversations with Carol. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, I don't know if I can say this. I be getting in trouble, but I am on YouTube. I am streaming on YouTube. I need some more subscribers. So tell people about me and join. We got some good stuff going here. Love you guys. Have a great day. Mm-mm. This I can't get going here. here. Alrighty. And post.